Oh,
we need to
God.
have a quick discussion here, AC. I like you. You're my friend. Doing amazing on Race Day Live. You're meant for this broadcasting role. You were a great racer in your day.
Oh, wow. You're really
a championship winning guy. You got a great golf swing right now. Well, actually, that may have taken it a little bit too far, but your golf swing's all right.
Oh, God.
But you show up.
JB and AC, the energy was awesome. Those two are just like really finding their groove.
4 straight overall wins. $100,000. Adam Cianciarulla. Checkered flag and Justin Brady. Cianciarulla has won the 2019 Webb Motocross Championship. He's gonna do it to become the oldest winner in the history of Supercross.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the AC and JB show. AC, fresh off of Foxborough. Have you thawed out yet, man? Are you good?
Well, I was telling you all day long on Race Day Live, I was telling you, oh, man, I want to go out there. I want to ride, big mud guy. But then we walked outside of our booth after the main event, and it was maybe, 34 degrees. And yeah, I'm firm out on that. Because there's not even you're not, for one, as a rider, you're not even allowed to wear anything over your jersey when you're out there for sponsor purposes. For two, there's nothing underneath your jersey that's going to keep you. There's a lot of standing water out there too. There's nothing that's going to keep you warm. And I don't like the heat either. So I guess I'm just temperature sensitive, I think.
Just a fair weather rider, huh? What's the perfect temp? 75? You good with that?
Honestly, colder. 65,
really?
65.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I run hot. This is a big talking point. This has been maybe, this is something that's often, kind of coming between us, putting a strain on our relationship, is what we want to keep the booth at in Race Day Live. You're always like, dude, let's 78, 80 degrees. And I'm like, dude, let's bump that down to like 68.
Yeah. Big debate right now when we roll into all these different booths across the country. This past weekend in Foxborough, we rolled in. It was nice and warm. I was like, oh, man, this feels good. And you're like, wait, are you serious? And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is perfect. It was probably, high 70s or so in there, maybe even 80. And you're like, no chance this is going to work for me. No chance.
I sweat easily, dude. I sweat. And between the temperature and finding out at dinner on Friday night that you've never seen Lord of the Rings and you have no plans to watch those movies. Honestly, I'm feeling a little heartbroken to start off this podcast.
Well, you're definitely right there. There's for sure no plans to ever watch Lord of the Rings. And as much as you were hyping it up, at first, there was about a 5 to 8 second period where I was like, you know what, I might check it out. And then you went into something about their own language and their own this and that, and you lost me.
Tolkien,
never going to check it out.
Tolkien, the guy that wrote the books, I mean, this guy is a genius. And yes, he created an entire language himself, dude. I'm telling you. I mean, it's like talking to a wall, dude.
Yeah, I'm out.
And then our friend Christian Vandeveld reached out to me too. Bunch of guys, bunch of boomers, to be honest, bunch of boomers reaching out to me saying, yeah, we're out. I agree with JB. And then the other half, my generation, is like, well, what are we doing? Actually, I had a couple of people say that they now hate you. It's crazy.
I think we're split right down the middle, right? From our socials, it was like 50-50.
50-50. And then on Friday, speaking of Friday, we also tried out a little in-helmet communication system.
Yep. That was cool. Put on the old the Fly Racing Formula helmet, and you put on the headset. You went up to the booth, and you basically showed me some hot lines. I made a lot of changes. I pulled in the mechanics area a couple of times, made some changes. And for some reason, there was some guy named Adam 2.5 seconds faster than me with about 2 minutes left on the clock. So I went in, made a shock change, made a fork change, and I never did figure out if I was faster than that guy or not. So TBD.
One lap speed, I think finally now officially this year, JB's got me. You got me.
You're out. You're done with it.
Let's talk about that real quick. I think that would be, I watch F1 every Sunday morning, record it, watch it. And you're always hearing the drivers talk to the team, right? Team talk to the drivers. And that's one of the most interesting parts of the entire broadcast to me, especially because this race in Japan this past weekend is pretty boring. Not a lot of passing going on. How sick would that be if we tune into the broadcast on Saturday night racing and you're hearing, Chase, Coop, Jet, these guys and their teams communicate with one another? I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen like anytime very soon, but I definitely think it's going to be a part of the racing eventually.
Yeah, I sure hope so. And especially now being on this side of the fence, right, AC, with the broadcast and seeing it through a different lens. I think as a racer, we're always fairly, I don't know about you, but I was pretty closed-minded. I just wanted to do my thing that I've been doing for years. I just wanted to focus on me. I didn't, we've been having pit boards since the beginning of time, right? So I just wanted to stick with that because that's what we know. And now being on this side of the fence and then watching, like you said, F1, I'm a big NASCAR guy. So, I mean, it's my favorite part to hear like Kyle Busch or somebody on the inside of his helmet, hear exactly what he's thinking. And sometimes he's not happy, right? Or him and his crew chief are kind of differing on what they're going to change going into make a pit stop. And then also you listen to other guys that are like strategically planning the rest of the race. And I just could imagine like hearing Coop or Chase, like say Seattle a couple weeks ago, like what are they saying? What's being said to Chase or Coop in those rhythm lanes that they're doing different things? And then this past weekend in the mud, Coop's down by, I don't know how many seconds it was going into that last lap, but then Kenny stalls the motorcycle. So maybe we hear, in Coop's helmet, hey, Kenny stalled 10 seconds up. So then Coop tries extra hard. Like it would be an insane dynamic for the viewers at home. And for us on this side, broadcasting side, to even be able to, like I made the reference of, imagine if we could go down in Detroit. Remember that red flag in the 250 class? Imagine being able to talk to Levi Kitchen or Max Anstey in that moment. And obviously Max is a little bit bummed, but Kitchen's, he's got, like his race is about to restart in a whole different light than being 7 seconds down. Now he has a shot to win. So I don't know. I think it could be a very cool aspect. Like you said, who knows how far away we are from that, but I would love to see it in the near future.
And it kind of creates a new position, right? Like a spotter. We were talking about NASCAR. Mm-hmm. A lot of the guys in the 450 class have a crew chief, right? Which was different for me from going from like the 250s to the 450s. Basically, every guy on a factory team in the 450 class has his own crew chief. So if there's two riders on the team, Chase is going to have his own guy. AP is going to have his own guy. I know certainly at Kawasaki, it's that way. So that, that was a bit different. Maybe that could be their role as a crew chief to kind of be up in the stands, because they're normally not down on the track. It's obviously the mechanics do that. But imagine being up on the track. And I think back to, even this weekend, right? Coop doing that double after the finish line. Like, imagine if Jay Dungy or whoever could be in Chase's ear and be like, dude, like Coop's coming, man. He's doing this double. Don't let him jump over the top of you, right? So I do think that would be so cool. And it was interesting kind of testing that out with you on Friday because the communication, you hooked it up in your helmet and everything. And I had my own headset. I was up in the RDL booth and I could hear everything so clearly. And you were pretty surprised how clear it came in the helmet as well.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. And you had about a team of 12 guys leaf blowing or blowing off the seats and stuff in Gillette Stadium. So it was actually pretty real. You're like, these guys are messing up my flow right now, being able to talk to you. But I couldn't hear them at all in my helmet. So you think about so many motorcycles around you. Will I be able to hear what's going on? And it was clear as day, even with that. I don't know, what was it, a group of 12, group of 15?
Yeah, that was super cool. And then the last couple Saturdays for us, JB on RDL, have been fun because we've had that extra time. You know, with these mud races, them pushing practice back so much, at the end of the day, we have a little bit of leeway in terms of when we can end the show. But if the show starts at 1:30, regardless of what they do with the schedule on Saturday, the show starts at 1:30. And so I don't know about you, but it's been very stimulating the last couple of weekends to wake up on Saturday and it's like throw the script out and we just got to keep the show rolling for an hour and a half before bikes get on track. That's been fun because it gives us some time to kind of really break some stuff down like we do on here.
Yeah, that has been a lot of fun. And to let people know, typically every Tuesday we have a race day live call. It's about an hour long. We talk about storylines and talk about kind of the lay of the land, right, of the script and things we're going to talk about. And then our producer, Mark Koha, he puts that all together. We have a meeting on Friday, go over everything. AC and I talk throughout the week, like, all right, how do you want to open the show? Okay, Adam's going to talk about Cooper Webb or Chase Sexton or whatever. And then I lead AC into that. And typically by Saturday morning, it's all completely teed up. I mean, I know how you're going to go off of what I say at the beginning. I know who you're talking about. We know what B-roll we're going to have for that. But the last couple of weeks, I mean, we wake up Saturday and we're like, all right, now what? We have to somewhat go with the schedule change. Typically, we have about 5 minutes to get down to 250 Group A qualifying. For everyone that has tuned into Race Day Live, they know that. Seattle, we had an hour. And I loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun. This past week, and we're like, all right, you did it for an hour. Can we do it for an hour and a half? And we're like, absolutely. Yeah. And we had Jason Wygant with us this weekend. Shout out to Weege. He's obviously a lot of fun, and he's like yourself. He's just an encyclopedia of Supercross and motocross. So we knew we could do it, and honestly, it was a ton of fun. It really was. I hope everyone at home really enjoyed it because we did. That's for sure, setting the tone. And that kind of leads into what we started the show with, of just obviously so much mud. And you mentioned 65 AC. Well, just for everyone that doesn't know, Foxborough on Friday was beautiful. Perfect. It was your perfect riding condition. It was 65 and sunny. It was unbelievable. And everything changed on Saturday morning.
Everything changed on Saturday morning, and as well as our script. We just threw it out. We didn't even go up for the first time. We didn't even go off the script basically at all. No. And just one final point on this. You know, I was talking to you about this on Saturday and just how relaxed and comfortable we were with it. Can you imagine if that would have happened to us at Anaheim 1 or, you know, Glendale A2? It's like you and I have come a long way in terms of just our confidence in getting this done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. I think about even before Anaheim 1, I mean, I was so nervous because it's obviously a different role. You and I had to only work together a little bit, but yeah. And now we just show up and we wake up Saturday morning knowing that there's no script. And then we go live at 1:30 Eastern time and we're like, all right, yeah, let's just roll. We know exactly what we're doing, where we're going.
I don't know
how
about
to get
you.
there. And it was fun.
I don't know about you, but I still get nervous for the Open.
Oh yeah.
It's just the Open. Man,
Yep.
It's like, I gotta nail this, right? And you have normally when we go straight into practice, we have, 10, 15, like I really don't have that much time to say my point. And even this week, I was so comfortable, so confident. And then right before we went live, it's just like, when we do the cold open, the start of the show, and then you're kind of introducing everybody, I hit the talk back button and I take one big inhale, exhale, and then it's my time to go.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, all the time. Those poor Mark and everybody in the truck, man, they're just hearing me breathe on there. But it was one of it reminded me of San Francisco last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was truly really gnarly. I don't know if you saw that picture I posted on my story.
I did
at the end of the night there. But man, that is a tough spot to be in, and especially if you're in any type of championship contention. Those days, JB, took years off my life, man. And I like the mud. It's just stressful because we were talking about it on RDL, but there's so many things outside of your control. I mean, really the only thing in your control is getting a start. Got to get the start. And Yeah, I really did feel bad for those guys riding, especially when I walked out of the booth and it was like freezing outside, man.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And once they crashed, once you fall over, it was so hard for them to get going because there was no traction anywhere. So you had guys riding backwards on the lanes, going backwards on the track. It was nuts, man. But that being said, into the night, and we'll get into the racing, but that 250 East, that's pretty tight now at the top.
Oh man, it's going to be a ton of fun for us anyways, for us being on Race Day Live and calling the race to the live audience. Vial came in with a 10-point lead, and look, we were all thinking and talking on Race Day Live, Vial's maybe the favorite just for his experience in Europe.
I feel like, sorry to interrupt, JB, but I feel like anybody from Europe, right away, we just assume that they're
right.
Lights out in the mud.
Yeah. So Vial was just that. We were thinking, oh, he's going to have a great night. Didn't know if he'd win or not, right? A lot of things out of his control. But for him not to score any points, he was dead last. A huge shakeup in the points. It's tied at the top. Hammaker and Vial tied. Hampshire down just a couple points. Then you have Hymas, who won the race. He's only down 8 points. Like, this is unbelievable. Going into a showdown, for real, like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be so much fun.
It was fun. And we went to the Honda truck on Friday. You asked me, I was taking some notes kind of in their hospitality area. And you were, of course, you have a great relationship with Honda. You've been, with that brand for a long time. But you did ask me if I wanted a coffee. And you went inside the rig as I was taking notes, and I didn't see you for an hour. I never got a coffee. It's crazy. But my point, we ended up talking to Hymas because, coming into the year for him, he had some injury stuff, and kind of the general message from the team was just build. Don't do anything stupid, which it's hard to do, man. It's hard to do, especially when you're young and competitive. It's really hard to do that. But I thought, first round in Tampa, I think he ended up with a fifth or a sixth, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, he was
sixth. And I thought first couple rounds, I'm like, this is perfect for him. He's riding super in control. Looks like he's not putting a lot of expectation on himself. But the last couple rounds, I've been thinking to myself, I think Chance was a little bit better at the opener, like in the first couple, right? So we've been waiting, and especially after his kind of breakthrough in pro motocross last year, we've been waiting for him to kind of just show us something, a qualifying lap, a heat race win, anything like that. And it was interesting talking to him because he's down at the Lawrence compound as well. He rides with Seth Hammaker. And I thought it was interesting that he said their times are very similar during the week, right? But he was having a tough time kind of bringing the same intensity from practice to the race. So just interesting that we had that conversation with him. And then of course he goes out and wins the race.
Yeah. It was cool. Fridays for us are pretty fun, right? They're pretty mellow. We get to interact with riders like Chance. I typically go get a coffee from the Honda truck. That's kind of my stop every Friday and Saturday. Shout out to the truck drivers there, Mike and Tom, letting me come in there and hooking me up with coffee each and every week. So AC, we went over there, and Honda has two trucks. They kind of have a hospitality truck and then kind of the race truck. In the hospitality truck is a great coffee machine that I get every week. But then Chance has his own little coffee machine, like latte, the full deal, right?
Oh yeah.
And Chance was in there making himself a latte. I'm like, all right, you lug this thing around, you put it on the truck, you're making your own lattes. I got to try one of these things. So he made me an oat milk latte, and we just started talking, and the latte was great, by the way. So thanks for the latte, Chance. It was incredible. And AC, he was just saying that, right? Just what you said, the expectations and everything was just, once you get a certain result, and you've lived this probably more than most, really, AC, most of your life, is you have so much expectation, and then you don't reach that, and then it seems like everything's just going south, and you're trying so hard and you're working hard during the week, and you're matching a guy like Hammaker. So it can really be frustrating. And we all just talked about just the process that that you have to go through to get that end result. And sometimes we work backwards. We're like, oh, I just want to win. I just want to be on the podium. And then you forget all the 20 steps that it takes starting, during the week and then Saturday morning to get to that final step. And from what Chance was telling us was he was just going to slow it all down, take it one step at a time, do a proper warm up before the qualifying and try to get out there and qualify well. And then all that should reach that end result. And, he's such a nice guy. Him and Seth both riding together during the week. They're both such nice guys. So it was fun to have that conversation with Chance. But then talking about the steps, AC, how about on race day live during qualifying, we were stressing for Hymas. He was 40th for the longest time. Like he was barely going to make the night show. Him and Forkner, remember, they were kind of like going back and forth. So it was like, oh man, at least got to make the night show to obviously get into the main event.
And we were able to have Lars on Race Day Live as well, Lars Lindstrom, team manager over there at Honda. It's something I've always been, very impressed with Honda. Of course, I've ridden for Kawasaki my whole career, but, having friends that have been on Honda, of course, a lot of riders, kind of venture around on Fridays. Everybody goes in somebody else's truck. You just end up being around these people. But I've always been impressed with Honda in kind of the level-headed nature of their management, right? I think for someone like Chance in this scenario, it really is difficult as a young rider, like you said, to have so much expectation. You most of the time, there's nobody harder on yourself than you, and that's evident with Chance. Of course, they puts a lot of pressure on himself, but so as a team manager or as a mechanic or anybody, truck driver, anybody on the team, it's so important kind of their demeanor, especially to a young guy, in terms of kind of just calming things down a little bit and not making Chance or, not making your rider feel like it's all on the line. It's all on the line. And some teams are not good at that at all, and they don't try to be. But from Honda's side, I've always really admired their approach in that way. Of course, I'm not, I'm not always behind the scenes with them, but anytime I've been around them, the last 10 years, it seems like there's really that calm, level-headed demeanor. And I think it's one of the reasons why, of course, Chance hasn't maybe, until this past weekend, hasn't been up on the podium, hasn't been winning races. But I think it's part of the reason why, he's starting to come around. He's been able to be consistent, is kind of that general attitude for the team. And I know you've been on Honda, JB. So am I right in saying that?
Yeah, but it's fairly new, AC. It's interesting you say that because I think the old regime, we're talking before, maybe even 20 years ago, right? I rode for them in 2012. Eric Kehoe was a team manager. Even then, Eric was an amazing team manager. And we always talk about like having a rider's team manager, like someone that really backs the riders. And Eric was that way. Now upper management, at companies like Honda and Kawasaki, and there's big corporations, right? That's who they have to answer to. And a lot of it's just simply results. Adam Cincerillo, what's he doing for us on the weekend? And there's a lot of things that go into it, but a lot of it comes down to results. And I lived that in 2012. I mean, I tied Dungey for third in the championship that year. And in my contract, if I got third or better in the championship, I got like a couple $100,000 bonus plus another couple $100,000 on my salary the next year. And I was told before that weekend that I would for sure have a ride no matter what because of podiums, a lot of podiums throughout the year. And it was a solid year. And I ended up tying Dungey and sorry, you're out, not in your contract. So I wasn't renewed. So I lived it right there of like, wow, okay. Even though Kehoe's great, he was awesome. It's cutthroat, right? It's a business. But now fast forward to what you're talking about, Brandon Wilson, who is Lars's boss, Lars being in there. You just feel like they care about you as people, and it's so important as a rider that's I feel like how people got their best out of me was if I felt cared for. Now it may sound cheesy, whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And we lived and died by our results so much that if the team did that as well, it would emphasize that from Monday to Friday for me. But if I felt cared about, a guy like Lars or Brandon would, called me and, hey man, we got your back, blah, blah, blah. That feels so good. And I feel like that's what Chance is experiencing now. And so now the new Honda regime, I do feel like it's one of the best places to be in the pits. I mean, we asked Lars to come on Race Day Live. Yep, no problem. Like it's, things like that seem to be better.
And also, you doing the track preview thing on Friday too. So cool of them. I mean, you're literally out there on Jet's bike, factory Honda. Like I think that's super cool. And you've seen it plenty of times. You've seen it plenty of times over the years, right? Fractured relationships between, the team and the rider. And when you're in that position as a rider, it can feel off. Maybe it's a conflict over the direction of the motorcycle, right? Maybe the team has data to suggest that this works better, or maybe your teammate is on this setup that the team believes in, and your teammate's doing really well, and you're not doing so well, right? And so there's a lot of things that can happen between kind of management of a team and the rider to almost to make it feel like it's you against them. Right. Yeah. And so what you're talking about is the opposite of like, okay, when we do bad, we do bad together. When we do well, we do well together. And, there's definitely been times with riders out there where it's not that way, right? You feel like when you lose, it's kind of all on you. And then when you win, it's so, I just wanted to take a second to highlight the importance of that dynamic. And that is what I'm seeing. I think it's a perfect place to be as a young rider for Chance with a ton of potential, because I've been in those shoes. I've been in those shoes where, you have some injuries and you come back and you're expected to be better than you were when you were on the track last, right? And it's a tough spot as a rider to tell yourself to chill.
So, AC, what do you think this does for Chance moving forward? Obviously, the check is still going to cash. He still won the race. It was muddy. But, I mean, does this transfer into a dry track? Does it give you confidence knowing that you won the race, even though it was, disastrous conditions?
To a degree, yes. I mean, when he lays his head down at night, is he going to say that, I think I'm the best guy when it's dry on a standard Supercross? Maybe not. But you still get – and you know this, Justin, you still get like a really good mood out of it, basically.
Totally,
like today, Chance feels like he's floating. Everything feels easy. Whatever bike ride he's doing, whatever gym workout he's doing, he's smiling. He's interacting with the people around him. He's stoked on things, right? And I think that in itself is so valuable. And I do believe it can transfer over. I mean, I think it's the momentum is still on his side, whether it was a straight up dry track or a mud race. JB, a win is a win, baby.
That's right. 100%. 8 points down. I mean, dude, anything can happen, man. Coming into a showdown, we know what a confident, Chance can do. We've seen Unadilla last year, just the speed that he has. But I want to talk about another guy, Seth Hammaker. You've been so high on him. You called the win a few weeks ago at the showdown. He's tied for the championship lead right now with Vial. Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki's been struggling, as we know, with injuries. I mean, this could be a cool story.
Oh, it could be an amazing story. It already is to an extent. Right?
True, yeah, it is.
I've said this about Seth. And one of the reasons why I'm so high on him, for one, I relate to his situation a lot. Yeah. Being a young rider with a lot of promise, going through a lot of injuries early in your career. I mean, it is a tough place to be. And every single time I have seen him at a track over the years, he was based in California. I was too the last 5 years or so. So we were at the track a lot together. And it's not like we were even that good of friends or we're interacting. I wouldn't even say we're necessarily friends, just more like acquaintances, right? But always I'm an observant guy. And no matter what was going on in that guy's life, whether he just came back from some big injury or whether he doesn't know if he's going to get signed or no matter what, that guy shows up with the same attitude every day, which to me is so admirable, man. And it's so difficult to do that, when you feel like the sky's falling. And I love to see young guys so grateful and appreciative of their opportunity, right? Like Seth seems like he always keeps it in perspective. At the end of the day, he's racing a dirt bike for a living. And I'm not sure when he was younger, if he thought that was going to be a possibility for him or not, but just the guy's never complained, never has a bad attitude, never, a lot of gossip can be thrown around at a test track. You get all the riders sitting around, never partakes in that, never talking crap on anybody, just a good kid. And I think, when you're a young rider and you're in these key developmental years and you're not able to, when you're on the couch, you're not able to get better. And everybody else, all the guys you're racing around, all the young guys you're racing around, they're getting exponentially better every week, every race, all this stuff. And so one of the reasons I'm so high on Hammaker is the fact that no matter how much time he's taken off the bike, at one point or another, and hasn't been consistent, but he comes back and he shows that he can do it, that he can win races. He has that speed, he has the technique, he has the same attitude. He just puts his head down, doesn't complain, gets to work, and he's been able to reach the top level again. And now he's better than ever. He didn't have an amazing race in the mud, but talk about Birmingham, those last two main events, Indianapolis, riding better than I've ever seen. So I'm just a big believer, JB, in what you put out into the world comes back to you at one point or another, whether that's results or whether that's in your personal life. I'm not saying it's necessarily results based, but I love to see a good kid being rewarded for his hard work and his attitude.
Yeah, love it. I echo everything you just said, and it showed me a lot. Did you notice one of the first guys to come up and congratulate Hymas? Did you see Seth?
I actually didn't see that. You saw that?
Seth came up, congratulated him, and you could tell it was genuine. It wasn't just like a knuckles and he rode off. Like, they actually had a moment of like celebration, And when you're in the trenches together during the week, and then to go on the weekends and see one of your peers win, like Chance had been doing, right? And now for Seth to witness Chance winning and to be genuinely happy, that shows me a lot about somebody's character. And you could tell he was genuinely happy. It was freezing cold out there. He just didn't have the greatest race, and he's still congratulating his buddy that won the race. So that showed me a lot about Seth, and it's going to be really cool moving forward. Like I said, him and Vial tied, Hampshire second, Hymas just a little ways back, 8 points down. So
and JB, 2 showdowns, man.
Oh yeah, 2
showdowns. We got one in Philadelphia this weekend, and we got Salt Lake City. So to me, even on the West Coast, like, it's going to be nuts, man. This one this weekend is going to be super fun to call.
And a home race for Seth this weekend.
Home race for Seth. Dude, did you see when, we'll move on to 450s here in a second, but did you see Vial? He was right there in front of our booth. Dude, he crashed and he could not get the bike going. Like, it's so difficult once you lose your momentum on a track like that to get the bike going forward again. So he ended up riding back down the jump, going off the track onto the plywood, and the plywood was so slick. He was off the bike. I don't know how much they had on the main broadcast. I normally watch that this afternoon, but he was off the side of the bike, pushing the bike, and he could not get it to go. It was that, and we watched that happen for like 5 minutes, and I was in disbelief. But I will say what I was watching for was if he was panicked, like if he was freaking out, if he was panicked. And I was very impressed, even when he was kind of directing one of the flaggers to help push his motorcycle, right? Or someone like me would be like, get the F over here, blah, 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 like all aggro, I got the points lead, like be freaking out. And what I thought was cool about Tom is just how calm he was. Even in that moment when everything's hitting the fan, he was still super calm. So to me, I think that's his biggest strength. right? And that's why he's able to be so consistent, is because he's level-headed even in those terrible moments.
Yeah, and to still be tied, I think he's going to take that, right? To get a
Definitely.
last place, 0 points, and to still be points leader, that's pretty good. And for people that don't realize, when it's raining out, that plywood, basically picture pushing your motorcycle out onto a skating rink with motorcycle gear on. Like, that's literally what it's like pushing your bike or trying to ride on plywood, huh, AC? It's like a skating rink. It's so slippery.
You've probably done that in Iowa at some point. Yeah.
We used to stud up our tires and go ride on the ponds and the lakes.
That's gnarly, dude. I guess I am a fair weather rider. Okay, JB, 450 class. Let's go. I mean, where do we start?
We start at the top, AP, because it's where we started Race Day Live. It's where everyone starts. When it starts raining, that's where we all start. I mean, we just do. We start with Aaron Plessinger, and that's where it ended.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of been a back and forth we've been talking about this for weeks now. But there's been 17 different winners in the 450 and 250 class combined. And then we were searching for the 7th winner in the 450 class, which 7 people have not won a 450 main event in one season since 1997. So we've been going back and forth between Justin Cooper, Aaron Plessinger, maybe Barsha sometimes, Anderson sometimes, but really between Jay Coop and Plessinger. And I think when it started, like you said, when it started raining, it's like, AP is going to figure out a way to be on the podium. And he did. Nailed the start. Barsha qualified fastest. And so some of us were thinking he's just notoriously good in the mud. So some of us were thinking maybe Barsha. But I did say in our little Riders to Watch segment, AP's starts have been just best of his career, maybe. And just what a season turnaround in general. I mean, the beginning of Aaron's season was terrible. I mean, it sucked. For his standards, best finish was the 7th before Daytona. I mean, he had to be freaking out.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wasn't.
Year.
Maybe he wasn't. But yeah, I mean, he is one of those elite guys. He is expected to be, from KTM, he's expected to be battling for podiums, occasionally getting a win, right? And just what a turnaround. Since got that podium at Daytona, and he's been just that. He's been an elite guy, and he's our 7th winner. JB, out of the gates, dominant performance in the mud for our guy AP.
Yeah, two things about AP. The first one is every season, I'm sure you were like this, AC, you want to be better than your last season, right? Especially in an Aaron Plessinger situation. He hasn't been a championship contender in the premier class. He won a few championships in 250, but you just want to take steps. And that's what your team, I'm sure that's what Red Bull KTM was wanting out of him. So now rewind to last year. Had the red plate for a few races, won his first race at San Diego, had a great season. Okay, now come into 2025. Okay, let's just better that a little bit. Let's maybe win 2 races, or let's, hold on to the championship points lead a little bit longer. You just want to show a little improvement. To your point, before Daytona, I mean, it was a massive decline. Like, there wasn't even a qualifying practice where we're like, oh, wow, there's AP. He's pretty quick today, which typically he's not that guy anyways, but there wasn't a whole shot in a heat, really. There was nothing. He DNF'd a couple races. It was like, man. And he's obviously a fan favorite. So you love to see him do well. And then Daytona comes out, gets a podium, does it for Dale, does all his stuff, right?
We're always doing it for Dale.
And since then, his starts have been on fire. His confidence seems like it's higher than ever. He's been unbelievable. Like, it's been so cool to see. The second thing about AP is when it does start raining, we always talk about him. But to actually execute is so difficult. Look, we can say his GNCC background, and we can say he grew up in Ohio and AP's amazing in the mud. But to your point earlier, there's so many things out of your control in a mud race, and to actually win and to actually make it happen in a textbook way, like what? He almost had a 30-second lead at one point, AC. Like, it was incredible. So to actually make it happen is so difficult. Kudos, AP. That was fun to watch.
Right you are, JB. And one of the things we were talking about on RDL is every single rider is going to talk about going to talk about how much fun the mud is, and they're all going to act positive because there's really no other play. You gotta convince yourself that you're into it. I mean, that the attitude in the mud is the single most important thing there is besides a whole shot. Whole shot and attitude. It's pretty much only things that you can control in a mud race. And so everybody's going to seem like they have a good attitude. Everybody's going to seem like they're stoked on it. A lot of guys are kidding themselves. A lot of guys are faking it. And you can tell once they actually get out there. Yeah, JB, there you go.
I was one of them.
Exactly.
I was one of them.
I was AP. I was AP.
You were, huh?
I was AP. But Aaron's attitude in general, and even I think that's one of the big reasons why he's able to turn the season around so much. I mean, it is really difficult to get yourself out of that slump. I mean, nothing was going right for him. I mean, nothing was happening. And I think if you notice, he's always on the podium, on his Instagram posts, no matter what. It's like he's always speaking things into existence. He always remains positive. And I've always found that you only can connect with fans if you're genuine. Like, you can sniff that off somebody a mile away when they're faking it. And AP is as genuine as it gets. And he did it. I mean, he did it. He came out, got to start, he was gone. And then behind him, we thought Chase was going to get the championship down in single digits. What happened?
Oh, man. After that heat race, we were like, I mean, he dropped Coop in the heat.
Like, bad.
2 straightaways.
Bad. That was insane.
We didn't let it, because, look, typically when we see that, if it was anybody else besides Coop that got second and Chase just dropped him, we'd typically be like, oh, he's a little off today. Man, we've learned our lesson time and time again. I'm never saying that about Cooper Webb ever again. There's times when he gets smoked in the heat race, he comes back and wins the main, whatever. So we're like, let's not read into that too much from Cooper Webb's perspective. But from Chase, it's like, okay, the best example we have of Foxborough is probably San Francisco last year. Chase won San Francisco. We're like, he's kind of not back up against the wall, but fairly close, wouldn't you say, points-wise right now? So he's got to make it happen.
Got to make it happen.
AC. It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. And I thought maybe he's going to try to time the gate like he did at San Francisco, because if you're going to tell me that he reacted in San Francisco to that, no chance in hell.
No.
Drop that gate. Let's get to it. And what a start, Sexton.
Didn't happen. Time the gate. Dump the clutch.
Yeah.
But it did look like it looked like he was flowing. He's one of the things about Chase. I think that, him and Jet both are pretty similar in this way, but I think Chase's balance is one of his best traits. Like, if you notice, I talk about it on RDL, but even in that corner, that right-hand turn after where the whoops were this week, we were seeing him stand all the way through that rut. And because it had stopped raining before the main event, the track was getting harder and harder to ride, of course, because it was getting stickier, and you were in a rut the entire time, like straight up. And that's why I thought Chase, especially after that heat race, was going to perform so well. It's because his balance and, his coordination, like, he's just athletic in that way, right? But wasn't to be. He made that mistake, and then it seems like once he crashed, he just couldn't really get it moving again. And then Cooper Webb, Cole, I don't know if we have footage of that, but him hitting that double after the finish line, even late in the race, I would have loved to take a look at that landing, because JB, that was gnarly. I mean, he literally jumped over Barsh's head.
He did at one point. He did. And even jumping the finish line, like lining that up, those ruts, and then getting enough traction to jump the finish line, because no one was doing it at that time.
Yep. He was going around
the only guy doing that, and then doing the double you're talking about after that. Land, you could tell they were like bracing themselves to land, or he was bracing himself to land in mud and ruts, and then to put on the charge that he put on. I mean, at one point, he was literally stopped in a rhythm lane and his bike was smoking. I'm like, oh no, like, is Coop's bike done, or like, what's going on? And then he was being so patient through the rhythm lanes. And then you get to the finish line turn, jump the finish line, jump the next jump, rip that left. And it's like, oh no, he's good. He's good to go. And for him to be down, I don't know exactly how many seconds, but I don't know, 30 something seconds or something like that down on third place. And to be able to come back and put in a last lap like he does so many times, and to be on the podium, to score, to gain points in the championship, it's just like I'm speechless sometimes when it comes to him, AC. We talk about it all the time. We talked to Rob Ninkovich this weekend, former New England Patriot, two-time Super Bowl winner. We just talked to him about like the mental game. And I do feel like even if you're mentally tough and we say all these things, there's still going to be times where
you just
doesn't go your way. Like I didn't show up today. Dude, name a time that Coop did that. You could maybe say Birmingham when he made that little mistake at the first lap, but it's time and time again he does stuff like this.
And what's amazing is what even blows my mind is the fact that you and I, all the media in general, we all say this stuff. We all say he never messes up. He never messes up. He's like the announcer's curse doesn't touch him, right?
No, actually, it did in Indy. Remember, in practice?
In practice.
That's it. But it didn't count at that point. They ain't paying points and money for practice. So,
but yeah, just like you said, in watching his last lap, if you were to just look at the lap time, you would have thought, oh, he cut the track. Yeah. There's no way. And as soon as he saw Chase in the same rhythm lane as him, it was like he was lights out.
Yeah.
Lights out, still going outside, hitting that finish line. It would probably make me have nightmares if I saw that rut that he was hitting the finish line out of, because that thing went from the beginning of the corner all the way off the face of the jump. Then hitting that double, it's nuts.
Wouldn't your mindset – so put Cooper Webb's helmet on for a minute, AC. You've won championships. You've won a ton of races in your time. Wouldn't you – I guess I'm speaking from my point of view a little bit too, but I want to hear your perspective. If you see Chase right there with a couple laps to go, it's super muddy. You know that you don't really want to take any risks. In my mind, I would probably say, and this is probably why I'm not a Supercross champion, I'm not going to lose many points today. He's only going to gain a point or two because he was a straightaway ahead or whatever, half a straightaway ahead. But to actually go after him and take the risk, the risk to reward is it's a slippery slope at that point in the race. His bike's smoking. There's a lot of risk to go get Chase. You could end up losing 10, 15 points if you go for him. So in my mind, I would be all right, it's going to be 7 points or 6 points after this. We're going to some good tracks for me. I'm just going to take what I can get today. But no, not Cooper Webb. What would you have done in that circumstance?
I would have pushed it to an extent. I would have gone as fast as I could to a point to where I wouldn't have put it all on the line. And I mean, he was a full sprint almost.
Yeah.
In terms of the mud, the last few laps. I mean, that was maybe the most reckless I've ever seen him ride. Even though it was solid, it was pretty reckless for him too, because because after Chase made that mistake, he was behind Barsha. I mean, he was only going to lose 2 points.
Yeah.
Right. But think if you're Chase. You're thinking, man, this is an amazing opportunity right here. Get the momentum back, get the championship, because getting it down to single-digit deficit points-wise is big mentally, right? And, yeah, I thought, Chase was probably thinking, man, this is great. I haven't seen Coop the entire race. He's probably stuck in the mud back there. Then here he comes, squares you up after the mechanics area, blows by you. That's just it's another mental win, right, JB?
Totally. I mean, he literally was down. He was down a couple times. He was literally stuck in the mud. To your point, Chase thinking that, he literally was. And then here he is, man, last lap. Shout out to Ken Roxon, who ran third for a long time, stalled his bike on the last lap. That allowed Coop to get by him. Kenny dealing with a little ankle injury that he shared with us on Friday at dinner that he's dealing with. And great ride for him to even get out there. At one point, he didn't even know if he'd ride. After qualifying, he hit it. So great ride for him. But for Coop to get third.
Huge.
Dude, they're just – it was 8 points. Now it's 15. It could have been 7 or 6. Think about that swing, AC. It was massive.
Massive swing. And of course we always talk about the main storylines, but let's little round of applause for Shane McElrath. Man, What a performance.
Well done. Well done. Wins his heat race.
Yep.
And coming here this week, it's like new mindset, new mentality. And then the mud, it was like, okay, this is opportunity right here. So
once again, look back to San Francisco, top 5. Shane's best result on the 450.
Blew by me like I was standing still.
Did he?
And Shane's one of those guys. He's been much better this year, I think. He's having a great year. A lot of top 10s, has been trending in the right direction. We've talked about him even, in the dry races. He's been doing great, but he was struggling there for a while. So anytime you see somebody that struggling blow by you, you're like, well, what the hell am I doing? And I remember having that moment when Shane passed me at San Francisco last year. But then I remembered, even as a kid, there was mud races. I raced Shane as a kid, and there was mud races. He blew by me too. So some guys just got it in the mud, and that's just got to be a huge shot in the arm for Shane McElrath.
Oh, massive. And the team, right? Quad Lock Honda to put their faith in Shane and to give him an opportunity. They didn't really have a place for him. Really good friends with Yuriv Konski, the team owner over there. And Shane signed with him for Australian Supercross. And Yuriv told Shane, okay, I'll find some funding for the first 6 races of Supercross in America, but that's all I can promise you. I don't have anything after that. And Shane said, you know what? It's a good enough program, good enough people that I'm going to gamble, and hopefully we can find some more funding or whatever, beyond that time. Well, here we are. He's done every race. He's had, I would say, his career best season in the 450 class. He's been trending in the right direction. Now he gets his career best, a second on the podium. Like it's a really cool story. And we talked about Hammaker and Chance being nice guys that are easy to root for. Shane's probably at the top of that list. He's such a nice guy. Definitely. And the success that he had on a 250 has not translated to the 450. But now you can start to see it coming out a little bit. And I had a moment, whether it's yesterday or today, I was just looking through social, and I noticed just him and Plessinger kind of celebrating together. And it would not be rare, 5 or 6 years ago, whenever they were in the 250 class together, they battled a lot, right? It would be no big deal if they went 1-2. It'd be expected. But now the 450 class, it's like unexpected. So I'm like, man, that's not a rare sight right there. So you hope, if you're Shane, that you think about those times, right? He's got the equipment under him now to do well. He battled these guys. I mean, he took Chase Sexton down to the final round in Salt Lake City not long ago for the 250 championship. So you hope that it's like Hymas, where that confidence carries over into dry races. Shane got great starts. Can he translate that to a dry race and just see what he can do from there? So I'm really curious what this does for Shane McElrath moving forward. And I hope he can get up there and battle the guys that he battled on 250, because he's definitely good enough.
And I think about 2018. 250 West Coast. That's when AP won that championship. I got second. Shane was right there, but there was plenty of times. I think Salt Lake City 2018 blew by Joey Savacci, and I won that race, and I felt like I was riding really well. Same thing at Anaheim 1 that year. Felt like I was crushing it, and he's got it, man. He knows how to ride a bike. I mean, it's been one of those things where you're kind of waiting for it to come out, right? But a lot of it is, like you said, you got to find the equipment, because equipment matters so much. Even I would say, in terms of getting to the top in the 450 class, I think it matters more in the 450s than the 250s. And when you kind of when it's not going well for you, and it's been a long time since you've won a race or done anything special, it's really difficult to convince yourself that you belong up there. So even though it was a mud race, it was really cool to see Shane and just make that big step, get on the podium. And I do think it's in there for Shane. I really think he can be, maybe not a podium every weekend type of guy, but I really do, even going into next year, if he finds himself on good equipment, I see no reason why he can't be a 5 to 10 guy. Like he's that good on a Supercross track. He's really good. And 5 to 10, I mean, no disrespect by that, because
those are all champions.
Seriously, all champions. But it just takes, like you said, JB, it just takes takes a result like this and just takes some belief. And I do believe that he can do it.
Yeah, I'm 100% a believer as well. It's relentless, right? The 450 class, you're racing guys. I remember one of my last seasons, there was a statistic at Anaheim 1, like there was like 16 guys had won a 450 race or something like that, or 18 of them were past 250 champions. It was like this crazy numbers, right? So even if you're battling for 12th, you're battling most likely a guy that has won races, or for sure won some 250 races, maybe some 250 championships. And it doesn't give you a weekend to like get on your feet. You know what I mean? Like the 450 class, it's just like, it's so relentless. So Shane, came to the 450 class and just hasn't quite got that footing under him. He's switched teams quite a bit.
Yeah.
I believe he's been on some teams that, maybe he hasn't quite gelled with. And I do feel like now that he's with Uribe, I know for sure, and speaking to both of them, they get along great. They are a team together. Obviously, Martin Davalos, the team manager over there on the American side of things, he does a great job. So you can just sense that they're really vibing. And to our point earlier in the show, and people matter so much. He's got the equipment now. He's got the right people around him. It's going to be really cool to see what he can do moving forward, to just add another guy to the list of guys that we're going to be talking about to potentially get some more podiums.
And one thing that I didn't mention, that I wanted to mention, you talk about a nice guy, like how nice of a guy Shane is. Mm-hmm. I've never been, and I'm just not a very social guy. We've talked about this, right? For the most part, I like to do my own thing. So it's not that I didn't like Shane or whatever, but we were always cool when we saw each other, but just never friends, never really spent time talking with them. I thought it was really cool last year, my last race in Salt Lake City. Ken Roxon set up like a retirement dinner for me, right? And Shane, having not talked to him, not anything, Shane showed up to that. And I thought that was really, really cool of him. He didn't have to do that. Him take the time to do that. So naturally find myself rooting for Shane. One thing we didn't talk about, JB, got to give the privateers some love.
Hold on one sec. Before we move on from Shane, I texted him earlier today. I said, great job, Shane. Well deserved. Just got a text back. Thanks, JB. Super pumped on how things are going with the team. Really starting to gain some momentum. There we go. Real time, folks. Real time. So he's believing.
All it takes is a little bit.
That's it, huh?
Faith of a mustard seed, JB. Faith of a mustard seed. But yeah, we gotta give, before we wrap this thing up, we gotta give the privateers some love. Cullen Park, P2, and in general, Cullen. I didn't know if it was, we were talking about it, but I'm not sure. This was kind of a late signing for him, right? He almost did not have this ride coming into the year, and he's been really good so far this year. Solid. And he's maybe 15 points back right now?
15 points back.
Like, that's crazy.
And once again, like we keep talking about these good guys, right? And they're easy to cheer for. Here we go. Here's another one, folks. Cullen Park, great kid, works hard, puts in his time during the week.
Florida guy. I mean, he has absolutely earned that spot on that team, and this proves it. And, really, really cool moment. And that's what – there's a big debate on these mud races, right? And I think Cullen has the skills to get more podiums even in the dry. Like I really do. Maybe not this year, but in years to come, I think he has the skills. But this is what is so cool for these mud races, to make this happen. And then let's see where they can take it from here. We're just talking about Shane. Would he have podiumed if it was dry? Probably not. But let's see where he can take it from here, getting this confidence on his side. So I love to see that in these people. Cullen Park, perfect example. Gage Linville, third. Like, unbelievable story. Down in the first turn, comes all the way back to third. For him to get a podium and that team, like, these are literally moments that they will remember for the rest of their lives. Gage Linville will be talking to if he ever has a family or whatever, he's going to be talking to him 40 years from now about Foxborough. And that's a very cool moment for these guys, and something they're never going to forget. Because AC, you've been there, like you've stood on that podium.
we never take it for granted. Like that was literally you and I as a kid thinking, will I ever stand up there? And then once you do, it's like, there's nothing like it. And I love the raw emotion that we got to see from Cullen Park and Gage Linville and Chance Hymas and Shane McElrath,
Rod Bell,
AP. Like sometimes we don't see that, there gets to be a time when guys go on runs and, I even had it, the minimal podiums that I had, I was on a little bit of a podium roll in 2012 and I caught myself taking it for granted. I was standing up there, got second to RV another week in a row. And I'm like, man, I'm just so bummed. And then you take a step back and your perspective shifts a little bit. And I'm sure you had that same thing because that's your goal. And once you get up there, it becomes normal. But for us on this side of the fence, to see people like Gage Linville and Cullen Park be that genuinely excited to stand on a podium, that's what it's all about.
It is what it's all about for sure. And I thought it was a real feel-good story. Shout out Dayton Briggs as well, leading the first few laps of that main event. Had a crash. Rest of the race didn't go well for him, but that was a super cool moment from him out of the B practice, I believe. He was SMX next guy, leading laps in the main event. So super cool from him. And yeah, JB in general, man, it's like as a rider, like all of us, anybody that's motivated, ambitious, we always want more. Like it's always about more and more, especially people out there living, kind of goal-driven lives. It's very easy to, as you said, with your podiums or whatever, growing up small town in Iowa, when you're 12 years old, that 12-year-old you would have slapped you in the face.
Oh yeah.
If you would have been bummed on a second, right? So it's figuring out a way to be mindful enough to still be motivated to do better, right? You still want more. You still want to go back to work, do everything you can. But it's also just having the mindfulness to step back in that moment, zoom out and be like, man, this is really cool. And I'm very appreciative of this moment because I know that every podium like that I look back on, right? I mean, I think about Anaheim 1. Anaheim 1 2020, my first race on a 450, getting second place behind Barsha. I was happy, but there was part of me was like, part of me was bummed. Yeah. And same thing, San Diego that year. Coop got me with a few laps to go, right? And at the time, as a racer, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to win plenty of these things. Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to get, and you just don't know, you just never know what life has in store for you, right? So all about, I'm a huge proponent of just being grateful for the moment. It's hard to do though. It's hard to do when you're in it and you're on the podium all the time like these guys are. But yeah, I just thought that was a feel good story this weekend. Wanted to give those guys a shout out.
Yeah, it shows the enormity of it, right? It shows how big of a moment that is because we can get used to seeing in Jet and Chase and Hunter and Coop and Kenny, all those guys are up there all the time, right? So it can seem pretty normal. And now to see guys that aren't up there all the time or up there for the first time, it's really special because we've stood up there and know how important it is, how special it is. And now for us to be done racing, man, to stand on the podium one more time would be pretty special, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's cool to see them really embrace that moment.
So JB, we did do dinner this Friday. We even had a glass of wine. We were
did.
There with Jason Wygant. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Steak dinner. It was incredible. We going to do the same thing this weekend? Or are we going back to the DoorDash grind?
I don't know, man. I think that's pushing your luck if we're on 2 in a row.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
I know we talk DoorDash game and how we're recluses on Friday night, and then we're out having a glass of wine and we just hanging out and but it was fun. The biggest thing about it was just how convenient it was. Those of you that have been to Gillette Stadium or Foxborough, you can walk to a bunch of different restaurants. So walked to some restaurants. We stopped at you had to stop at a CVS on the way home. What'd you pick up there?
Oh, yeah. So backstory to this, you told me it's Troy Aikman and who else? Who's the other guy?
No, I believe it's Kevin Burkhart who called the Super Bowl this year with Tom Brady.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you told me, right? Like they throw a football before they go on air, kind of loosen up a little bit, right? Because that's what we were talking about. It's nerve-wracking the start of these shows. you could be doing anytime there's a camera in front of you, just live TV, there's something about it that gets the adrenaline going.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about this all season long, and we've never brought a football with us. I don't know about you, but my backpack is full.
Yeah.
So I did stop at CVS on Friday after dinner. Or no, actually, after my stop at Dunkin' Donuts to get some Dunkin' Holes and a large cold brew on my way to the track Saturday morning.
Take it easy on that because we're going to talk about that here in a minute. I'm worried about my friend, but go ahead.
Boy.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I stopped at CVS, and the only little football they had, we got like this tiny little rainbow football. And we made it happen this week. Played a little catch. We had some low ceilings in our hallway, so we had to
throw some heat.
I might have torn my rotator cuff on my right side, but yeah, that was fun.
Put it this way: there's gonna be no if they have cameras in Gillette Stadium where we were throwing, we're not getting a call from the scouting team to put us in as quarterback, huh? Although, no. I mean, I did drop back the last pass of the night, the last pass of the day before I went live. I dropped back, jumped around a little Peyton Manning style, and threw a heater right at your chest, and you said we're gonna end there. That was a touchdown right there.
Dude. That was tight. Did you play sports growing up, or is that just
Yeah, I mean, I played most sports. We're from Iowa. You can't ride 6 months out of the year, so you got to do other things.
I feel you. Yeah, not me. But I know I would have made it to the NBA.
You would have?
If I did go to school, I did play some high school ball. Yeah, 100%.
It's not too late.
I think
your ACLs will take that?
I think it is, brother. Well, no, my ACL, we were talking about that Saturday. I woke up, it was freezing. Anytime I wake up and it's freezing, you can count on both of my shoulders and both of my knees. I was feeling like I needed a knee replacement because we had a lot of segments. Yeah.
We stood on Race Day Live because when we have a guest in some of these booths, we have to stand instead of sit. We stood with Ninkovich for 10 minutes. And you both are complaining about ACLs and this and that. And I'm like, my man's falling apart on me here. He can't even stand for an interview. What's up? Dude,
it is a problem. And I have been doing yoga, though.
That's
yoga.
Good.
I'm not home many days a week, so I've just been going one day a week. But, I've done so much physical therapy in my life. I mean, if I didn't have to walk into a doctor's office or a physical therapy office for the rest of my life, I would pretty much give you my entire estate for that.
We did get into an elevator at one point last weekend. And you said, this reminds me of walking into a hospital or something, or a surgery room. You said, I'm getting PTSD. Get me out of here.
What I said was, this elevator smells like a surgical center.
Yeah.
And it did. It brings me right back, dude. It brings me right back. But I've been avoiding physical therapy for, since I've retired because I was so blown out on it. I didn't want to do it anymore. But we have moments like that where we stand for 15 minutes. It's cold outside and I can barely stand up, where I'm like, okay, dude, I need to do something. Right. I'm still 28. I'm still I can heal pretty quickly for the most part. So I need to get on it. This summer, it's game time.
We're rehabbing ACLs.
Yeah.
This is the part of the show where I care about my friend Adam, and we need to have a quick discussion here, AC. I like you. You're my friend. You're doing amazing on Race Day Live. You're meant for this broadcasting role. You were a great racer in your day.
Oh, wow. You're really
a championship winning guy. You got a great golf swing right now. Well, actually, that may have taken it a little bit too far, but your golf swing's all right.
Oh, God.
But you show up. You show up Saturday. We had a great Friday night. Everything was great. I ride with Weege to the track Saturday morning. Sorry. You show up. You've got a 62-ounce Dunkin' Donuts coffee. You've got a box of 30 donut holes. And
25.
25 donut holes and literally an 80-ounce iced coffee. I've never seen a coffee this big. And I'm like, bro, we got to tighten our game up a little bit here. But I let it slide a little bit. You're eating some donut holes, whatever. And then this was the tipping point. That didn't need an intervention to me. We can work with the caffeine. We can work with the donuts. But this one took me over the top. We're calling the live race. It's muddy out there. It's cold out there, but we're in a nice warm booth. And I look over, and my man's just downing Skittles. And I'm like,
problem?
okay. I think this needs an intervention. So now, and mind you, you don't eat much.
No.
You've dropped some weight.
Yeah.
You're looking tight. You've tightened up your program since Salt Lake City last year.
Oh, yeah. I was a unit, dude.
You've tightened it up a little bit, which is great. But we're going to need to tighten it up a little bit further on the diet. We can't go all day just on sugar. Skittles, donut holes, and an 80-ounce coffee is not going to cut it, man. I'm going to lose you at some point, and we can't do that.
I hear you. I hear you, KB. I get it. I've been taking some shit from the people around me about this, and you're right. Like,
so you have realized it. Okay.
Well, once I realized that I was a beluga whale at Salt Lake last year, none of my friends told me. My trainer, my not even Nick, he didn't even tell me like, hey dude, you're fat, man. I think everybody was just trying to be nice to me since I was retiring. And so after that I thought to myself, I'm not going to have a loose jawline on television. It's not going to happen. And I've always been a eat to live guy, not live to eat. Like I just, I do appreciate a good meal, but really not that big of a deal for me. And so I don't eat much. You're right. I don't eat much. I do my athletic greens in the morning.
Okay.
And I have been cooking for myself lately at the house. I will say the diet has been tightened up during the week, but on the weekends it's bad. On the weekends it's bad. I wake up in the morning, I'm not hungry. And only thing that sounded good Saturday morning was some donut holes. So I got, 25 munchkins, dog. And then, large cold brew, little sweet cold foam on top. You just make it go down smooth. But I hear you. I appreciate your concern. That's all I have to say. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to really turn over a new leaf and start living a healthy, sustainable way yet. But it's coming. It's coming.
Okay. We have. I like the first step. The first step's admitting it, and now we'll go from here. Cole, if you don't mind pulling some clips from Salt Lake last year, that'd be great. And then pull some clips from the booth just recently. My man has tightened up his game. He's looking good.
No side profile, Cole. Please, God, dude,
you're looking good. You're looking good. I'm happy if let's start with 10 donut holes next time, not 25. Let's just do maybe a 12-ounce coffee.
I didn't eat the whole box, bro.
I didn't see any in there.
I didn't see any left. The whole box. I got them for everybody, dude. I'm just trying to take care of our audio guys.
I like that. And then the Skittles. Can we explain the Skittles, or just needed a little sugar rush?
Yeah, Skittles were just. I was bored, man. I was bored, but I hear you, JB. And now I know our audience is just going to be on my ass about it.
Oh
too.
yeah.
So we need to come up with some type of hashtag.
It's going to be great.
Hashtag do better. Let's just do that.
We'll see what AC's eating this weekend. Philadelphia East-West Showdown. Looks like a little bit of weather maybe on Friday, but I think Saturday we're going to be good. So
man, I just hope it doesn't rain again. Yeah. I just want to see a dry race again. I want to see a dry race showdown. We got tied in points on the East Coast side. We got Deegan and Juju at each other's throats. 450 class getting good here. So, dude, we said when we logged on for this pod, we said it was going to be short because it's really not that much to break down in terms of when you see guys riding 5 miles an hour around a supercross track, right? But here we are. Hour and whatever minutes later. It's longer than the last one, JB. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody listening. Episode 2. And JB, we're off to the races. These are fun. I wake up on Monday morning. I'm excited. Cole Beach, thank you, sir. Shane Doyle, Converge Media. You guys are great. Let's keep it rolling, JB.
Let's do it. See you in a few days.